Gil, how did your kids? I mean, did they grow up? Are they good?
One of them's a serial killer.
Hello, everyone. Hola, mis amigos. You're listening to Oh My God, Hi, Hijo de Dios. Hola. With me, George Lopez. Porque, ¿sabes qué? Let's do the show. Porque I got a lot of things to do. I gotta go to that dry cleaner ahí. My kid fell. Se pegó la cabeza. I gotta go get some Neosporin Paul.
You know what George is?
Oh, I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
What's his name?
George Lopez. George Lopez.
Oh my God!
OMG.
OMG! Hi!
Oh my God, hi.
Gil, do you do podcasts at all? Have you done them?
I've done podcasts.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch since this. I've done a bunch of them since this
Documentary.
Yeah. For me, anyway, I've done a bunch of them.
Were you happy with the way the documentary came out? Are you
I
going,
loved
Grant?
it. I love the way it came out.
You do?
Yes.
But did you know that it was going to be the impact that it had, though?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because it's like, I didn't even know about it, and I just kind of was on Netflix. And I like documentaries. This is trending, so and I could not stop watching. Anyway, start.
Were you a fan of true crime before that? Yes, you are.
Fuck yeah, dude. I watch all that shit, bro.
Oh, right on.
Okay, so why are people fascinated with, you don't say true crime. Let's just say, what's true crime?
Well, not written TV.
Yeah, that other shit's fake crime.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right?
I don't do
That's
fake
like
crime.
the category, right?
Yeah.
True crime, they have a literary license to change it.
Like
And
Oxygen,
books, like books and stuff like
ID
that.
Channel. All white people go crazy for Dateline.
Oh my God.
They love it.
All meetings.
They love it.
Not only that, they do in my house too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Asians like it too. You know.
Okay.
Today we have an amazing group of people here. Here we go. We have.
awful.
Well, see that. Well,
More energy, bro.
let's do.
Well, what we got here today is.
All of it is just the worst. And he opens his arms like the fucking
Well, I'm excited.
waiter, Mater D. Come on in.
Yeah. So my
Mr.
replacement is waiting in the wings
Come
right
on,
now.
Puto, let's get to it.
Well, we have two amazing guests today, and I want to make sure that we got them. My arms are open again. Now you got me thinking about it. So we have a Vietnam veteran turned legendary.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what this dude doesn't do any fucking research. You know, I kind of give a hint to him like, hey, look this up, all right?
I have lots of things on him. He was a Vietnam veteran. Did we know that before today?
Vietnam?
Well, that was the earliest thing that I have note of him doing. That was in the 60s, so he was a Vietnam veteran. He turned legendary detective for the Los Angeles Police Department.
Trick-or-treater
Oh no,
for years.
no, Los Angeles County Sheriff's
See what I
Department.
mean?
Not the police.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff's
Listen,
Homicide Bureau for
You wanna
38
fucking
years.
Start bullshit. Compare a sheriff to LAPD. And
I guess I
LAPD
did.
to
I
sheriff.
guess I already
You'll be
did.
throwing chingazos, eh?
All right, well.
Everybody with a badge will be arrested.
It's been nice talking today. I'm going to leave this up to you for the rest
Go
of
ahead
the
with
day.
Bobby, though. You didn't put...
Well, because Bobby was our special, like, we didn't know he was coming. He's our
Bro,
surprise.
if you don't give me a fucking introduction, I'm gonna go ape shit in this place, bro.
All right, this is
Don't
great.
put his picture up in
Give me
before
a
they
fucking
put him.
introduction, bro.
Okay.
This
introduction.
is a renowned comedian.
I used to play softball because you gave his
He
history,
played
right?
softball.
I played softball, bro. You know what I mean? I was molested.
Oh, well.
Throw that
okay.
in there. Throw
Well,
that in there. I was
okay.
molested.
I have to
In
open
the
my
year
arms
of
for
the
that.
Lamb, he caught on fire.
He was molested.
Yeah. Mad TV. I was on Mad TV for 8 years, bro.
I know, from
Mad
2001 to
TV.
2009. How about that? I
There
knew
we go.
that.
Yeah.
A comedian.
I have two
San
podcasts.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Tigerbelly.
And
Amazing.
Bad Friends?
Yes, and Bad
All right.
Friends.
That's it. And
One
just
of
say
the
my name now.
Thanks for helping me, Bobby Lee.
One of the most ridiculously funny and good dudes, Bobby Lee.
Oh, thank you, man.
It's better to know Bobby Lee than to see him from afar. 'Cause when you see him from afar, you think he's funny, but when you get close, you see like this vato doesn't have any veneer. It's all. But that's why he said he wanted to come here. So true crime can be Oxygen Channel, ID, Dateline, Gil.
Sure.
Gil Carrillo, by the way.
Yes.
We never got to introducing him. I
Yeah.
got chopped down.
That part's over, bro.
Okay, I'm just going to sit and watch.
I'm gonna get you a Daryl Gates poster for your house.
I'll study.
Why would somebody make a mistake like that in thinking that LAPD was the only, police force that had detectives?
Don't ask me that. I'm a guest on your show. You know, I'm saying out of mine. You know, there's two major departments here in the in the county of Los Angeles. LAPD is one. Everybody knows about LAPD.
Everybody knows LAPD.
It's like the Marines and the Army. Marines got good publicity going.
Oh, my God.
And then you got the Army. You know, people don't know that we don't roll up the streets at 7 o'clock and close our stores. We have just about as many. They go back and forth as to how many sworn officers each department has.
The dudes that beat up Rodney King, that's LAPD?
That was LAPD.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Who have the sheriffs beat up? Anybody?
Nobody knows.
That's right. They're so good you don't know about it.
So when Frank Salerno was investigating the Hillside Strangler case, that was sheriff's department.
That was the sheriff. It was a joint effort. LAPD had some of the cases, as did some of the sheriff's
But
department.
I think everybody thinks it's LAPD, just naturally because of the detective Dragnet and all the shows that make it seem like if you're going to be a detective, you're only going to be LAPD.
LAPD is the only ticket in town.
Why do the sheriffs catch all the criminals?
We're good.
Yeah.
We're second place. We try harder. You know, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to start anything between us.
No, everybody knows.
They're just good. You know, they're dedicated. You didn't come on this job to get rich.
It's a whole other leadership, too. There's no similarities.
Exactly.
And when you went to Vietnam and you got out, you wanted to be, did you want to be a police officer?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. It was a police officer that actually saved my life.
Right.
You know, he took me off the streets, had my parents sign for me. I went into the Army at age 17. And after spending a tour in Vietnam, I had a new appreciation on life, and I was mature.
Yeah.
So do you think that Vietnam prepared you for your life as a detective?
Oh, no doubt.
No
doubt. It prepared me for anything I wanted to do or take on in life. You know, prior to that, I thought D stood for damn good and F was fabulous. And so now I wanted to go to school and I wanted to learn and I wanted to give back what that cop gave to me.
So he took you off the streets, and then when, you know, because all those guys that were kind of bullies in school and the streets were maybe dudes that were, some were mean dudes, a lot of them was just fear, just kind of like doing. But I think that there's anything that'll scare you straight is getting signed for at 17 and then ending up in Vietnam. I mean,
it was the first time I was away from home. But forget Vietnam, just going to basic training is the first time I'd ever been away from home. Wow. Listen to my mom cry and get into the I-I-I's as I was leaving. It was tough.
And where was basic training?
I did my basic training at Fort Ord, and I spent Thanksgiving by myself. Just about everybody else was gone out of the barracks on the East Coast, and it was lonely. It was the first time away from my family like that. And it was the worst Thanksgiving I ever had. The best Thanksgiving I ever had was in Vietnam.
Wow. Why? Weed? Because there's weed?
They smoke it out of the bars or the rifles?
No, it was just that I was a crew chief on helicopters. We were doing resupplying at the time.
Wow.
So our mission for the day, all day long, was flying hot meals out to the troops out of the field.
Oh, wow.
And they finally told us, you know, hey, guys, we got one more left. We take it out and they eat, or you guys have worked hard, you stay here because the mess hall will be closed when we come back. And we said, let's go. So we took it out. We didn't care about eating.
Wow, man.
Took it out, and when we came back, the mess sergeant said, bullshit, and no electricity at that time of night. He put candles up, and he stood in there by himself, and he served us Thanksgiving dinner. And it was amazing. It was good.
Wow. What does it say about you, though, dude? Because a lot of dudes that come out of Vietnam, right, they get, like, PTSD, right, and they have trauma, and they have fucked up lives, you know, they turn to alcohol, and you were able to leave that place and create, you know, a career for yourself. You know what I mean? What does that say about you, bro?
Well, I think it says I got a good family, good friends, and good support team.
Yeah. Because that would have been all fucked up. I'd be like out, you know, sucking dick, you know what I mean, and shooting heroin. Yeah, right.
All right, well, let's go down and get some uniforms. We'll go hide outside of that park over there. Bobby, over here. Incoming. So when you've been married to the same woman, and I think one of the things that's great is when you got back, you had a plan. You seem to me to be someone who remembers dates. I was telling Bryan that you remember all the dates.
Yes.
But also, you made a plan for yourself. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yes.
You wanted to get back with your girlfriend. You wanted to break up with her and hurt her because she hurt you, which is completely, that's us. That's what we do. You get them back.
I got a Dear John when I was in Vietnam, and so I came back. I wanted revenge. I wanted to get her eaten out of the palm of my hand and break it off and watch her suffer like I had suffered.
Yeah.
I got out June of 70. By September 70, had her eaten out of the palm of my hand. And the day after Christmas of 70, December 26th, we got married.
Wow.
And we just celebrated our 50th this past
Wow,
week.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations.
It's all her. It's all her. Trust me.
Oh, wow.
I think it is all them because they have a very structured way, and I think one of the things that is noticeable in the miniseries is that she appeared to let you be you and let you do your work and let you be whatever you needed to be at work and not make you live by some kind of like rigid thing where she knew you were in your mode of.
Beyond a doubt, she's the wind beneath my wings.
Yeah.
She is. I refer to her affectionately as Sister Mary Clarence. I'm the devil, she's Sister Mary Clarence.
Yeah.
But I think only a specific kind of woman can do that. Like, I've had girlfriends who are like, I'm not your number one. No, bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stand up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and all that's my career. I got shit
Business,
to do.
yeah.
And my girl now, bro, is like, she understands I have to go on the road, that every night I have to go up, and she understands that comes, that's very important to me. And that's probably what your wife is like.
She did.
Yeah.
She's fortunate. We're fortunate. 3 kids. She's never had to work. She's been able to stay home and take care of the kids, take care of the house. And I was just a paycheck coming home. And she's good. She's a good lady.
Before the cop saved you, what did you aspire to be when you grew up?
I had no,
Did you know? Think, huh?
No, I didn't think about anything. I was just thinking, would I be the first one in my family not to graduate?
Right.
And so I had no idea what I was going to do.
That's a fast growing up right there. Like that, you go to Vietnam, come back. You're maybe the only guy that ever heard it say, "I'm glad I went."
Yeah, it was a learning experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but if anybody had to go, I'm glad it was me because I survived. I knew, I learned, I matured, and gave me a new look on life. It's different. I remember helping start an orphanage when we were down there.
Wow.
And so to be able to see when people over here in the United States think about all the trouble they're going through, they don't have troubles here. You get into a war zone, you see trouble.
I'll tell you why I'm here, man. Can I tell you why I'm here?
Tell me why you're here.
Because, bro, I love watching like movies like Seven. You know what I mean? You look at Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt in that movie. Like, to me, like, I never get to meet those guys. To me, you're that guy.
Oh, thank you.
No, honestly, dude. So it's like,
that guy.
yeah. When I told George, when we were talking about you, you know what I mean, in the documentary, I was like, if you ever have that guy on, please call me. I just wanted to meet you. You're a good dude.
Oh, thank you. Very
and
much.
I can't, I wouldn't be able to do what you do. Like, a lot of people look at me and go, I can't do stand up and do the things I do. But like with you, bro, I can't even think about. Like, imagine us being cops.
No.
Bro. They would never. We would never catch anybody. I think George and I. We'd be the fucked up rush hour.
They would be like,
They don't get the guy.
Yeah.
"Can I tell somebody else what happened?" Well, I'm an officer. It's no offense.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let me call for a backup. I need somebody to talk to. So, being meticulous and then being a police officer, they heard about you. Frank did, right? Frank was like the detective.
I was assigned to
Frank
Homicide
Salerno.
Bureau. He was working Homicide Bureau. Frank, his partner had just retired. He needed a new partner, and Frank could have had anybody he wanted.
And his partner probably worked on the Manson LaBianca case, I'm sure.
No, that was all LAPD.
Oh.
This was Hillside Strangler
Wow, okay.
that they had done.
The Hillside Strangler, all
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Were you like when he called you and he was like, "Can you join me?" Were you excited? Was that like something like for me, like when I was a young comic and I had guys like George, go open for me. You get this like excitement of like, holy fuck, I'm getting invited into the club. You know what I mean? Did that feel like that for you?
No doubt. It was a Christmas party put on by the Bureau. We're there. We're getting a drink.
Yeah.
And Salerno hit me up. Hey, listen, would you be interested in being my partner? Wow. And myself, trying to be cool, just said, sure, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I went back and sat down and told my wife, I said, hey, Frank Salerno just asked me to be partner. She says, wow. So what? I said, you don't understand, that's Frank Salerno.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy was...
Big deal.
It was a big deal. And he could add anybody, and he chose this younger Mexican.
And how old were you at that point?
I was 33, 34 years old.
Yeah.
But in your head, do you think like if he would have asked me, I would have been like, yeah, I'll do it. But like internally, I'd be like, can I do it? Like that's a lot of pressure, no?
Oh, I wasn't afraid of that never bothered me. There's no doubt I knew the business.
Right.
I was learning the business. There's so much to learn, and you get better with time. But I wasn't concerned about my ability to stay up with him. To be with him. And I knew I'd learn from him because he was so experienced. And then a couple of months later, he came by and he phoned me and he said, hey, how about meet me at the station? Went to the station in East LA. And he says, at the party a few weeks ago, I was in my cups when I asked you if you'd be my partner. And I figured, okay, now he's going to let me down easy. Right. He really didn't mean it.
No. Oh, yeah.
I was in my cups.
Yeah, here it is. So I was in my cups. I said, yeah, so was I. Trying to be cool. And he says, well, I'm not in my cups now. He says, I want to know if you still want to be my partner.
Wow.
And I said, yeah. He said, good, because I just talked to the captain. The captain's going to make it happen. Wow. So that's how we ended up getting together. And I was excited.
Who was working on Rodney Acala? Rodney Acala?
No, what is that?
Rodney Acala, they called him the dating game killer.
Yeah.
And Rodney Acala was on the dating game as a contestant.
Yes.
But he was a serial killer already.
No.
And he got chosen to be the winner and go on a date. And he called that girl, and she got freaked out by him. And she called the dating game and said, I'm not going to go on a date with this guy because this guy is creepy.
Wow.
And it was Rodney Acala.
Is that how they caught him?
Well, no.
That call?
It was eventually, it was a cold case. They didn't have anything on him, and then they finally, and I'm not really that well versed, other than I know there was Cheryl Comstock, who used to work our unit. She picked it up as a cold case, and then she put it, her and her partner put it together.
It would be a guy that was going around pretending to be a photographer, handsome dude.
Yes.
And he would lure these girls into his car and take them back, and he would, under the guise of taking pictures with them, so he had a lot of pictures of his victims.
This is a strange question, bro, but when you said handsome dude, it's like, do you think it's easier? Do you think it's easier being a handsome dude as a killer? Like, you look at Ted Bundy, right?
Exactly. Ted Bundy comes to mind right away.
Right. If you're ugly, it's probably harder. Like, you would have had a hard.
I wouldn't.
One kill, you're out. Yeah, I mean, they caught him. Yeah, this guy.
I was pretty fast.
Rolled up on somebody.
Like even Richard Ramirez.
You don't see any fat serial killers either.
You don't. No. Yeah. Right. Like even Richard Ramirez is like, he's got the worst dental hygiene on planet Earth, though, right?
Yes,
when he opens his mouth,
yeah.
it's like the Kraken, bro.
He did.
Yeah. But on the outside, he had a fan club, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, and which is disgusting, bro. Right when
He had
serial killers, write these killers these women write them letters and shit.
One of our surviving victims, a 65-year-old female, she testified and she described him as quite the handsome young man.
Oh, man.
So a couple of times he went into court, he combed his hair all back. He looked like he was a Florida drug dealer. Had on a suit with his hair back here in a ponytail. He wore his glasses. So some people thought he was good looking.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, he started out kind of high East LA, like Hacienda Heights around there, like high in that area of LA.
Where he was hitting?
Yeah, the first one.
No, the first one happened March 17th of 85 right there in the city of Rosemead. Just... it used to be a Charlie Brown, 60 in San Gabriel, just a couple of blocks north of there.
And the woman was putting, which everybody did, was putting groceries in her house, and the door was open, her garage was up.
Maria Hernandez had just driven home. She had an electronic garage door opener. She opened it. She went inside. She was walking along a carpet runner. It was a condo. She stuck the key in the door while simultaneously hitting the button to open the garage. That opened the garage. As soon as the garage door, that's to close it now. As soon as it closes, took 8 seconds, the light goes out. Richard made a deliberate sound, pounded on a car to get her to look at him as he's walking towards her point shoulder position. He's walking towards her, and he wanted her to see him. And I had learned through Dr. Robert Morneau from Cal State LA that there's sexual deviates that's what they want to see. They want to see the fear in your eyes. They want to see you frightened. Then we went inside, and later turned out I found Dale Okazaki in there. She was dead.
Right.
She got shot in the forehead, close range, because there was stippling. That's the unburnt powder that comes out of the barrel of the gun. And she also had a contusion in the back of her head, which means he hit her in the back of the head first. And you're sitting there saying, why? If he could have done it, why didn't he just kill her? And once again, he will tell us later that he was on one side of a counter with a gun right there in his hand, waiting for her, because he knew eventually she'd pop up, because her hands went to the counter, and when she lifted her head up, that's when he popped her right in the head. And that was in the city of Rosemead.
That was his. Okay, that's our introduction to him.
Yeah.
As somebody that.
Yes.
Right. Shoe print at that time? No.
No, March 29th, shoe print at the
Did he
Zara
do two
residence.
that night, the first night?
First night he did two. Silent U was number 2. That one happened about 50 minutes later.
She was in a car driving?
She was in a car driving in city of Alhambra.
He was kind of like tailgating her, and she stopped and said, like, what's your problem?
She stopped, put it in reverse. What we called it
Put
a
it in
panic
reverse.
reverse. She put it in reverse, backed into a car, so she's stuck. He came up, drug her out of the car. Once again, he shot her twice in the side of her abdomen. Why didn't he shoot her inside the car? Why did he drag her out? And there was no sexual assault or no robbery at either one of these two.
Wow.
So there's something there. We don't get the shoe print, though, until March the 29th, which is in Whittier, right there by Rose Hills. Strong Avenue, which is a street that runs east and west and runs right into the 605 freeway. And there he left in a via footprint.
Was Silent U, is that her name? Was she
Silent
Asian?
U.
Was she Asian?
Yes.
And the girl before that was Asian.
Yes, one was Chinese, one was Japanese.
Right. Well, but people don't know the difference. But anyway, yeah. But the thing is that what's interesting about Richard Ramirez is that he didn't have a pattern, right? Like if he was just killing Asian chicks, right in the beginning, there was a pattern there, but then he was diverse in his attacks.
There was
old, young.
His only consistency was his inconsistency.
Right. So that's what made it confusing.
Method of killing, either guns, shod foot, manual strangulation, ligature strangulation.
Yeah, that's what made
knife wounds, stab wounds.
And you were the first person to say this could all be the same guy, though, right?
Yes.
You were the first one to
Yes.
go, this is the one guy.
And it made it more difficult because I was throwing in child abductions as well. There was pedophilia going on.
There was.
And when you look back on criminal profilers at that time from the FBI and anybody that studies this stuff, and you look at MOs and doctors, psychologists, everybody, it's all predicated on criminal history. And nobody in criminal history had ever been documented doing what I was alleging or my theories were. So they thought that I was full of hot air.
But when he was living he's living downtown, let's say around the Cecil, he stayed at the Cecil. And he would roll in there and he would change his clothes out in the back of the hotel and kind of walk into the hotel in his underwear and shoes.
He had his kill kit, his clothes that he used when he went out to kill, those are kept in a locker over at the Greyhound bus depot.
Okay.
Oh, he had an outfit.
We called it his kill clothes. It was just all black members only type jacket.
Yeah.
And black pants, black shoes. The shoes he was wearing were the Avias. They were black.
Right.
Which made it narrowed it down even more.
Wow.
But there were very few of that style. And then, does anybody think that those 3 murders are related at that time?
No, one was Japanese. Dale Okazaki was Japanese, and there is nothing in between to link the Japanese to the Asian Chinese. The caliber of the weapon was the same, but the bullets were so distorted we needed the weapon or something more in order to link them. On the 29th, there was the Zazara case, and on that particular case, he shot Mr. Zazara, who was laying on the couch, and he stabbed and cut Mrs. Zazara, and in her, he cut her eyes out.
Right.
And he shot her. And there were also stab wounds down in the pubic area. I actually asked him, she had a big cut underneath her left breast, and I wanted to know why. And he said he was trying to cut her heart out, but he hadn't figured on the bone, the breast, the rib bones.
Wow.
So he didn't get through it.
Was he a cannibal?
No, there's no evidence of cannibalism. Although he never told us what he did with the eyes.
Right. Yeah.
We're still keeping it.
I mean, it's
an eye
like-
out.
But those are gone, yeah.
It's hard to be funny. You know what I mean? So this is like I'm like when you're talking, man, it's just I'm in shock almost. Like there's like goosebumps on my body because it's like because in this day and age, I feel like it's harder now. Like I don't think Richard Ramirez will be able to do it now the way he did it because of the technology and we have phones. You know what I mean? Do you think he'd be able to pull it off now?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, the only thing we didn't have then, we didn't have DNA then.
Yeah.
But that would have helped us identify him sooner. But, as long as you don't talk to anybody, you can go out and kill somebody. And if you don't talk, that's why they get caught. They're not smart. They talk to somebody always, whether they get loaded or anything, or they tell their buddy and their buddy gets popped and he rolls over on them. So you can still get away with stuff.
God, it's so scary to think about. Fuck.
And he comes from El Paso here, but he was a criminal a little bit in El Paso as well, and he left town, I think, under some.
He didn't have that big of a record. There was no biggies. He was arrested for stealing from a hotel that he was working at.
Right.
But there wasn't.
He got the Greyhound bus here.
Yes.
The Greyhound bus here.
No, he got the Greyhound bus. He was actually stopped by a cop. LAPD stopped him on Wednesday, the Wednesday before his arrest, on a motorcycle, and they cited him for driving a motorcycle without a license. And he took off on a motorcycle. He was going to Arizona then to go to his brother's house.
Wow.
Motorcycle broke down. He stopped a trucker, said, "Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me a ride into Arizona. You can have the bike." And so that's what he did. When he couldn't find his brother, he decided, I'll come back.
Wow.
He came back in. By this time, we had him identified, and we had cops all around the Greyhound bus depot waiting for him to go in, the public side. What we weren't anticipating is he came in on the bus.
Bus side, yeah.
And he looked, and the informant told us he'll make the cops. Cops can try and look dirty, but they don't smell dirty. Their hair's clean. They don't have rotten teeth.
Right.
And he'll make them. So he went in, he looked around, and then went out the way the bus came in. And that's how he got out of the bus.
Because when you land on the bus, you're in another area, kind of like
Exactly.
at the airport. And then so he got a chance to see
Exactly.
everybody's looking that way, and he's seeing everybody looking that way, and he made the cops.
Yeah.
But at that point, he must know the jig is up.
He didn't know.
Really?
Not until, he saw his picture in the paper. Then he knew the jig was up, and the paper was out that morning.
Oh, I see.
And he admitted, said later that he was tired. He was tired. He knew that the end was coming.
But he ran a long way. He ran a pretty good distance from he went, he landed there at the Greyhound bus depot, went into a liquor store. They kind of made him in there, and he took off running. And you said he ran across the freeway.
He got on then, what is now MTA or whatever they called it.
The RTD.
RTD. It was the RTD then.
Metro, yeah.
He got on the RTD, went out Olympic Boulevard. And at Olympic and Soto, he actually saw another passenger made him in the paper. And that passenger immediately, it was at a red light, so he immediately got off the bus. There happened to be a phone booth right there. He went ahead and he saw him starting to dial, and the bus took off. The guy flagged down a guy from the gas company in a pickup and said, "Follow the bus. He's on there. He's the man." And they started following him. He went down to about Lorena, exited, got off the bus at Lorena. Then he started running. So he had to run several blocks, probably by the end of his trek, a couple of good miles. And that's going over fences, through backyards, over the sound barrier wall on the 5 freeway across all 8 lanes of the freeway, eventually trekking over into the county area, which is just east of Indiana on Hubbard Street.
Wow. And that's when the civilians took over, right?
That's when the civilians took over. But they really, he was carjacking a lady. She started screaming. Her husband came out, grabbed a pipe, hit him in the head.
Wrong area to do that shit.
And because of all the commotion the neighbors saw, here's a neighbor in a fight. They know him. Who's this guy doing? So Richard started running. He's tired. He's just been beat. And they don't know who he is. And it was the good people that got him, wasn't the hood rats from Nevada.
Yeah, it's good people, yeah.
It was.
They were good people. They held him. The cop got there, and the only one that didn't know who it was the cop that got there that day. You know, he
didn't know who he was.
He was a rookie.
Yeah, he did. It's like, you ever been in trouble with the law before?
Oh, no. Right?
He was a rookie. He did the right thing, called for paramedics. They put a little turban around his head, stopped the bleeding. And LAPD came across from the city side into the county area, and they had been following 911 calls from the city side. Hey, there's a guy running through my yard. So they just came up, and they said, that's the guy we've been chasing. That's our guy. Took him right out of the radio car from the sheriff's department, put him in their car, and took off before this young deputy knew what hit him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And it was funny because the guys from East LA Station, they wanted to beat the deputy to let him go. Biggest arrest in the history of the county, and you let him go to the blue meanies.
Oh, wow.
And I laughed. I laughed at him. I said, hey, listen, had we been chasing him into the city side, you guys would have done the same thing. Who cares? He's in custody.
Yeah.
That's all that really mattered.
And I think in there, he's like, it's me. You know, he was pretty much done at that point.
He admitted it was him that day, that morning.
Yeah. So when is the first time you were in the room with him ever?
That morning.
That morning.
Yes.
So when because you hadn't been in a room with him before that. I mean, you're just chasing this guy. What's your first impressions of the guy? Was he, normal? Was he, was he a little wacky? I mean, what's his vibe?
He was nothing to me at that time. It's just if you could imagine being a professional, say a football player.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden it's game time. You get ready. When you get ready to go on stage, you joke around, but now it's on stage. Bam, you're a pro. You're a comedian. You're stand-up.
Right.
When I go in that room, I can't think of anything else other than I need to interrogate that guy. I need to talk to him. I want him to talk to me. He's human. He's nothing more. And he's caught.
Yeah.
Say, let's just sit down. Let's talk. I have no ill feelings towards you, and it's not like you see on TV where you're slamming hands or cussing and shouting.
So he wasn't resistant. He was like, you got me, let's talk? Or was he like...
He was quiet. Quiet initially. He's tired. He's subdued. He was advised of his constitutional rights, and he invoked, which means, okay, we ask no questions. See ya. Get up and start to walk out. He said, wait. I want to talk to you. I have some questions. What do you want to know? What kind of questions do you have? So sat back down, and he started asking questions, started answering them. I built up a little rapport with him because I could relate to him. I was from the streets. I was from a barrio. He was from a barrio, so we could talk. And before you know it, we're talking. And then we started talking in the third person, where the Night Stalker would have done this, or maybe he would have done that, not admitting to anything. Not that he is, or he did it.
Right.
But he would talk in the third person. And I was playing with his anxiety level because I wanted to know what kind of questions I could ask him. What's going to raise his anxiety or what's going to keep him down, because I want to keep him down here. I don't want him. And at one point in time, he had his head, if this were a desk, he had his hands just like this, and he had his head sideways. And I'm talking to him about a very sensitive part of his life, and that's his sister. And what had gone on.
I forget about that. What was the thing with his sister?
Well, I was just talking about his sister.
All right.
And I wanted to find out what kind of relationship she had in the family, and was there a relationship between her and the dad. And as I'm talking to him, Richard started almost to the point of hyperventilation. He started going, and his fist started coming off the table a little bit. And when they did that, for a millisecond, I really did get a little concerned myself because I'm sitting here saying, if this son of a bitch starts to float or levitate out of here, I'm gone.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in fights, I've been shot at, I've been stabbed, but I can't fight somebody who's floating around a room. And then I realized he's human, Gil. That's all he is. Yeah. And he calmed down again. And at one point, he was doing this with his hand. He was going like this. He was just making a circle on top of the desk. And I'm looking right at him, and I just told him, I said, go ahead and fill it in, Rich. He said, what are you talking about? I said, go ahead, put the pentagram in there. It doesn't bother me. That's all you. And he says, you know about that stuff? And I said, yeah, I know about it. And he goes, erased it.
Fucking hilarious.
Just so, and right after
That's hilarious.
we talked.
Trying to intimidate you is going like this.
Yeah.
And right after we took his anxiety level that high, then I said, how about a break? You want something to eat?
Right.
And so he wanted to get something to eat, and we got him something to eat. Took a break
I'm sorry,
ourselves.
did he, I always wonder this stuff. Did he ask something for specific, like, oh, can I have a chimichanga? I mean.
No, I said, hey, how about a burger?
Oh, right. He goes,
I-
burger sounds good. He's, oh, yeah.
Got him burger, fries, and a Coke, and that was it. Let him eat. We took a break, and then we went back at him. And we didn't ask him much more that first time.
But in your back and forth, they say Manson always had that creepiness about him. Just in his regular speech, was he kind of creepy, or was he seem like a normal guy?
No, he's quite articulate. He was probably one of the sharper murderers I've ever interviewed. He wasn't like a hood rat from the street.
No. Well, he went to the library and he checked out books. He was kind of reading stuff,
He told us, he flat out, he told me one day, he says, hey, Gil, he says, I got an ego that'll fill this room. He says, I can tell you everything about the time the Romans fed the Christians to the lions, to modern day serial killers, whatever you want to know. So he was an articulate, well-read individual.
I think you have to be to survive that long, in that doing that behavior.
I was around here in that time. You were out here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you could feel the fear. I don't care where you were. Like, he went to Northridge. I worked in Northridge. Wherever that dude was, like in Sun Valley.
Yes.
Out there in East LA, that motherfucker may have never even been around. You could feel shit in your house. You could feel it on fucking outside when it started to get dark. Right? It was a fucking feeling of just fear everywhere, dude.
There was
everywhere.
A fear. I didn't feel it as much as George did because
you're a man.
There you go.
I was so focused on capturing him. I was working the case. I didn't have time. But you could, anytime I went to any place, if I saw my wife, I saw family members, I could see it in them. And if you run into anybody that knew what I was doing, they were full of questions and fear.
But because there's a fear, though, you would think that society and individuals are preparing themselves, right? Like, did you get a machete?
Locked everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you got things wrong. You probably secured your door, right?
It was the first time in my career then, and stopped after he was taken in custody. It's the first time I was sleeping with a gun on my nightstand.
Wow.
And my family wasn't there. They had moved out. My whole family, they were gone. And I just told my wife, don't come home in the middle of the night. Because I've got a gun and I don't want to do anything.
Because there was a murder, or one of the murders, or a few murders were close to your house, right?
Yes. Yeah. And Diamond Bar, just the city right next to us.
My God.
Wow.
But I mean, in that feeling of fear, the dude was still striking fucking people. So you were scared, and he was still out there doing it.
Yeah.
He was still out there like almost like a guy, like he delivered, man. Like everybody's afraid of this fucking guy. They're locking the thing, and the dude still is climbing in windows and still killing people in the midst of this whole big city of fear.
Yeah, there's probably like a lore that's behind that, where people think that maybe is this guy subhuman, or is he like maybe
well, I listened
a demon.
I listened to some lady. As a matter of fact, in the Netflix documentary, where she says somebody should know what this guy looked like. He's got to look like a freak.
The lady said,
he's got to look different. Well, killers don't look different. Television makes them look different. They want to put the fear factor in you.
Right.
But not all killers.
That lady
different.
said, "Why can't he's got to have friends.
Yeah.
Somebody has had to have seen him. Why did they catch this character? Which is simple. It's not that.
Yeah, it's
not that easy.
Yeah.
Do you think his courtroom stuff, though, was that an act, or was he just, what was all that stuff that he was doing?
Oh, he's an egotistical maniac.
So he was just doing it for the cameras
Sure.
mostly? Yeah.
He'd do it for the cameras. He was a luster. He liked women. There was a day in court, and we used to have a lot of courtroom visitors. They would go in there, either college students, high school classes would go in there, other attorneys, and women. And there's one day, there were these two attorneys, and they were dressed to the 10th. They were gorgeous and nice business suits. Just really looked beautiful. And I got a phone call. The bailiff called me over, so I went to the bailiff's desk, take a phone call. And every time Richard walked into the room, if he walked from east to west, when he first walked into the courtroom, he'd scan the audience to pick out whoever he wants to look at. And then he'd sit down because he was forced to look forward. He couldn't look back. Now when they take a break, he comes out. Now he's going from east to west, and he focuses in on the one that he wanted, that he saw on the way in there. Well, there were these two gals, and they're sitting on the edge of the bench. And when he walked by, he's smiling at him, looking right at her. The one on the outside put her hands up to her lips and blew him a kiss.
Oh, my God.
And spread her legs open. And it was, I'm sitting there. I went back and told my partner, I said, hey, lock me up for a while, see if it works for me. There was, they did it. You did have followers. Some of the devil people were in there, devil worshipers were in there. But,
wow. Was that drugs that made him a devil worshiper, or the music, or did they say AC/DC?
Well,
but
AC/DC didn't. He started using cocaine, and
he had epilepsy.
The cocaine made him get into this stuff, and he found out that he started hanging around with some devil worshipers, and the booty was getting better. So then he got into it, and he, at the end, after conviction, we spent some time with him, just talking openly, and said, Rich, why don't you tell us, this will help us out for future cases. And he said, Gil, I can't tell you that shit. He said, when I die, Lucifer will kick my ass when I get down there if I tell you anything. I can't help you out like that.
Oh, so he believed.
Yeah, but he believed, and people tried to convert him back to Christianity.
Yeah.
He didn't want it. There was a Filipino young lady, and I can't for the life of me remember her name, but she was there almost every day at preliminary hearing. And I asked him after, whatever happened to her? And he said, well, she got tired of trying to convert me back to Christianity, and last time I talked to her into doing porno.
Oh, my gosh. Wow,
So he was one of those
call.
He could manipulate somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was, I don't know.
When he was in court and he was in shackles, he did the one Chicano thing that all the Chicanos do. He's like this, and the lawyer's talking about him, and he's like, "Don't be fucking talking about me, puto." Remember that? He's doing this.
Yeah.
And muttering under his breath, and I'm like, oh man, that's like the move that every Chicano does when they
One day,
school or wherever.
One day coming into court, he walked in, shackled, and he looks over at me and he goes, "Orale Carrillo." And he did that, and as soon as we took a recess, the news reporters came running out around me, just like in that movie Airplane. When they all run out and get in the phone, they come running out. And what was that? Was that death threats? What is it? What was he shouting? Was that demonic? And the only one that understood was a reporter from Channel 11, Tony Valdez. And Tony was laughing. He knew exactly what he had said.
Yeah.
And to this day, Tony and I are friends. And if he calls me on the phone or sends me an email or anything, it's first thing he says is, "Orale Carrillo."
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was at a book signing, and I'm telling that story. And when you're up on stage, how the lights are, you can't see too many out there. And I told the story, and all of a sudden I hear, "Orale Carrillo." And Mr. Valdez was in the audience there. He'd gone there to the book signing to see what we were talking.
Yeah.
And really it was touching for me to see him there.
So for a dude that had a lot of ego like that and filled up the courtroom with people from all walks of life who just wanted to, we're lawyers, right? And after that, he didn't really want to tell how all these things were done. He wasn't looking. He still was an egomaniac.
His ego would not allow him to. If he had the information, then he kept it. It's like he's smarter than us.
Okay.
he's outsmarting us.
He has a mental. I mean, he has probably narcissism, right? I mean, he has some mental things that we could treat. Can you treat narcissism? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He asked me one time, "Why do you think I am the way I am?" And I just flat out told him, if I knew that, I'd be a doctor making a lot more money than I am as a cop.
Yeah.
I can't answer it.
You know, in the beginning, you see what makes. I was telling these guys that there was a guy that I went to high school with, who was a gymnastics guy, strong guy, ended up a security guard in Sylmar, and people would go over there and like make out, and he threw the people over the fucking side of the mountain. And the guy died, but the girl was a little bit bigger, B plus. with niacin, like I don't know, she was a little bigger, and she didn't roll all the way down like the other dude, little flaquito went, as she went down and got caught on something. She was big,
Yeah.
So, and she climbed up to the top. He just assumed that both were gonna be gone. Nobody would ever catch him. He just went over and threw him, got him out of the car. So what are you doing? He was a security guard. Threw him down. And the girl crawled up and they got him. And he was the guy that all the girls wanted to be around in high school. And this dude's been in that prison outside on your way to Vegas for 40 plus years.
Wow.
And he would not be the guy you would expect of that behavior of him. Also, you wouldn't expect him to be a security guard. Not that it's bad to be a security guard, but a guy who had so much promise at one point, could have been a facade. And then he's this guy that's not that, but yet in his mind, everybody wants to control somebody. They want to.
It's kind of like that pro football player, that the Mexican guy that just committed suicide.
Right.
Junior say? Oh, well.
No.
Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez. Yeah.
Nobody knew what he was doing. He kept it all.
Man, he had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They said he had bad CTE.
Yeah.
I think that's
Even
what
at that age.
that has something to do with it.
But I don't know if
it's
that
the same
had
thing that Junior
anything to do
Seau
with this.
had.
Yeah, that's why I
CTE,
killed him.
I mean,
Head,
the
yeah, it's crazy.
CT make you look for Vegas on your part-time?
That's right.
It hasn't done it to me.
I've taken a couple of blows.
I mean, I have an interesting question. I think it's, I think maybe you're born that way because, like, I don't know, I grew up, like, in a violent household, right? Like, my dad used to beat the fuck out of me with golf clubs, beat my mom, you know what I mean, get drunk, It was just a terrible upbringing, and I just lived in fear and trauma. And I used humor as a defense mechanism, but I would never hurt anybody, or I would hurt myself maybe and shame myself and punish myself. But I think you're just like, but that with the kind of upbringing I had, I could have been a fucked up guy, right? But I chose to make people happy by performing, and I also I go therapy to heal my past, and I have trauma therapy and stuff like that. But I just don't think people are just born that way. Do you think that's what it is?
I have no idea. I find it difficult. I'm not laughing at you, but when you sit there and say you have trauma therapy, you go back. I only know you as a comedian making everybody laugh and funny. To hear you say you have a serious side, I'm saying, how can he get up there and do this?
He's fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm a fucked up. Yeah.
I think that's what I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because there's a line of that. Like I follow crime documentaries, and I forgot who it was that had the same thing I didn't have any baby pictures, and I'm a father, and you start to think, man, this is almost like the way we go, but we go the other way. Like I really don't want to hurt. I wouldn't hurt anybody, but I knew guys around in my neighborhood that were shooting people in high school, man. And you're just like, you grow up with these guys, and maybe in 3 years it changes. Like we all go in junior high, we all graduate from junior high, and 2 years later they're doing like home invasions and fucking shooting people. And I remember we went to this guy's house. And he was being accused of murder. And when we went there, we didn't know, walking over from school, let's go see our man over here. We go in there, and he's looking out the window across, and there's marked cars around him. And we said, what's going on? Then he told us, we knew about the murder, but we didn't know it was him. And then when we walked outside, he walked us to the sidewalk, and all the cars are looking at him, and we're right there, and he goes to us, I better get inside because I'm a murderer. And he fucking walked inside, and me and Ernie were there, and we looked at each other like, we we're like, what the fuck happened to our man right there, man? He was fucking he was a fucking devil. Wow. He was a fucking devil.
Most of the guys, generally speaking, from the block that I grew up on, those that went into the service led normal lives when they came out. And those that didn't are either dead now or in the joint still.
Oh, man.
It's true.
Crazy.
It's true, and it's no fault of. I just think once you kind of get with bad guys, like start hanging with different guys.
Well, like you said, that upbringing, though, I mean, you had it.
I think it all starts in the home, personally.
I think it does start at home.
It starts in the home.
Yeah, I guess there was still love in my home. Like my dad would only beat us when he was drunk. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they put me through rehab, so there was love there. You know what I mean? But so maybe these people have no love at all, like whatsoever. No support, abandonment. I don't know. Maybe it's something that no one will ever know. Really, it's just a mystery.
Most of the guys are loners. I mean, Richard Ramirez came out here on his own.
Yes.
Had a brother that he didn't even know where he lived.
Well, he knew where he lived.
Okay,
he did. Lived right there in East L.A.
Right.
If he'd have just made it just a few blocks east of Indiana, he'd have been home safe.
Wow.
Hey, dude, can you give me some water? I'm parched. Sure. I don't like telling people what to do, but
no. And
it did feel good.
The fast.
Well, look at the glass they gave you.
I know.
Everybody's got like glass glasses.
That's because he's not one of us. They don't know where he.
Yeah,
I'd feel slighted.
What do they ask you now for, Gil? With everything that's come out, with that, you lecture?
What does who ask for?
The public. The
public. I've had on social media, on Facebook, as an example. I wouldn't take anybody as a friend unless I knew them personally.
Right.
I don't care if you're friends with my kids. I don't care. I don't know you, and I don't know who you hang with. Once I became, this thing went out, and I started getting messages, people requesting friendship and Facebook and all. And I told my wife, I've got to start accepting some of these people. I've got to read every one of them and find out why I won't accept them. Because if not, the last thing I want the public to feel that I'm an arrogant asshole.
Right.
And I'm not. I'm nothing more. I'm no better than anybody else out there. So I started accepting friends. Now, from somebody that had maybe 200 friends on Facebook, now I'm up pretty close to 3,000 since this thing went out. I've had people from all around the world. I've done television for Australia, Canada. I've been asked for Poland, for Uruguay, Spain. People just asking if I would do Zoomcast with them.
Wow.
And I've had people call up and want me to work their murder. And so they don't realize, I was just telling my wife, and I feel very sad, a lady has written the department and her grandmother's case is unsolved. And so she's asking for help. And she wrote a letter and asked the department to get it to me, where she's asking me to work it, where she on her own has linked it to 3 other murders, and she knows that I would have the ability to go in and work it. And people that ask that haven't the slightest idea what it takes and what you got to do, the commitment. First off, I don't have that ability anymore. I'm not a cop. I'm a civilian now.
Right.
The hours that it takes, just for every minute, if you're going to do it and do it right. And now I've got a family, and I'm retired, and I'm enjoying my grandkids. I'm enjoying life.
You really are. I think that's great that you are. The times that we've talked, and you've been out on your RV and you've been out enjoying your life.
Yeah, and I just I feel sorry for her, but there's nothing I can do for her. And without revealing everything here, there's somebody else that contacted me on another murder that it looks like that one's going to be solved here soon.
It's hard to talk about somebody and not do their name. When I was talking about that guy that was a murderer, 3 times I wanted to say his name, so I know he says, I've been working with this. It's hard not to say or let it slip what it is, because I wanted to say the guy's name, even right there. And if I say it clearly will describe like what happened in that situation. I'm glad I
just did an interview this last week with Channel 11, Gina Silva, And probably the one that has meant more to me than any of them, a guy by the name of Salvador Duran from Univision, and because he says you're a hero to the Mexican population. You are something special, and they wanted to do a profile for a program called Un Impacto. And so came down, we did an interview, and I'm waiting for that one to air because it gives them, and this whole thing started with a friend of mine who's a writer. He was a member of the sheriff's department, and he got injured, went off medically. He ended up writing first for the program Chicago PD, and he called me up, and I've known his whole family, his uncles who were members of the department. Hey, we'd like to do this. If you look at television today, there are no Hispanic heroes. Everybody's drug killer, robber, and you have a story, and I want to sit down and talk to you about it. Well, that started about 2.5 years ago.
I think there might be one hero on TV that. But no, I get it. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with.
You're my hero, bro.
Thank you. No, but it's one of the things. It's one of the reasons. I mean, whatever color you would have been, I'd have been impressed by just your ability to solve crimes. But the fact that you're a Chicano and Primero Impacto, they're the other ones that speak Spanish first. That is prouder for us as Chicanos to have you be Chicano in all those things. If I had never even reached out to you, I was proud just seeing you in the pictures of leaving the scene in out in while you're doing the job as a detective, inspiring to us because we didn't think that there were people that looked like us that were out there.
And I never looked at it. All the years that I worked in the department, there was no color. We were all investigators. We were all cops, and I didn't care anything about color. This, and just because when I was interim chief of police for San Fernando, a little lady was pushing a little cart, and I'm big in stature. I got out of the chief's car, and I'm wearing a uniform, and she stopped. And I said, no. And I told her in Spanish to go ahead. I said, good morning. Have a wonderful day. And she was scared. And when I said, good morning, have a wonderful day, and please go in front of me. And she got the biggest smile. Nobody had ever talked to, like, hey, here's a cop just saying hi to me. And it was really touching to me. And so it made a difference. So it made me feel good. So to know that there are people that don't have anything like that, and it doesn't take much just to go ahead and be able to do that.
He was the intern chief of the city that I grew up in.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's outside of LAPD. There's just a small town, city of San Fernando, and they still sell fireworks in San Fernando. People would come from all over different parts of the valley to buy fireworks. It's not a big city, but it's a complicated city with politics and police, mayors, and the newspaper, the San Fernando Sun, which doesn't pull any punches, pretty rough thing. And he was the interim chief of San Fernando.
Wow. Dude, I'm not Chicano. I want to be.
I love Asians.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love Chicanos.
I love Asians.
But what I loved about the documentary is that, I just don't, first of all, I knew who Richard Ramirez was, but I'm not familiar with the case. But I was just grateful that you got your credit. A lot of times white people, they take all the credit, you know what I mean?
We do.
And it's like, when I saw you in that documentary, I was like, oh, fuck, you know what I mean? It just gave me goosebumps, man, because it's like, finally, this, someone like this is getting his due, the credit that he deserves, and then it's like, I'm so happy that, this shit is out there and you're getting the credit you deserve, man. It's like, because I think there's a lot of minorities out there that did a lot of shit, right? And they just die, and no one really knows their contribution to whatever they were doing, and that's what I got out of watching.
Or almost even somebody that lives their life honestly, that gets killed by somebody that's out there like a predator, serial killer. Honest people, good people, and you're protecting them, but it's a big city, a big area. And you got a guy out there like that preying on elderly people, on weaker people, on females. And, you know, when you see him, he, like you said, just a regular fucking guy.
That's all he is.
And he just had this lust for women. But to us, this guy was a fucking monster, man. Like, nobody knew where he was coming in from. And not leaving a lot of prints, horrible crime scenes, but just the footprint was everywhere. It was on the clock radio. It was on the porch. It was by the side of the people's houses. It was all over right? So he's out there in these same shoes.
It's impressive. You've done your work.
I've done my work. I watched it, yeah. But the guy, Russell Williams in Canada, that was like the kind of a rapist killer. He flew for the Royal Canadian Air Force. He flew the Queen.
Oh, yes.
And he ran by somebody's house and he saw a girl working out on the treadmill that kind of triggered shit for him. And he would still, he wore the same shoes to the interrogation. And while they were interrogating him,
Wow.
said,
Yeah.
you know,
All-time bad move.
we got the kind of shoe print, you kind of match it after a few hours. And the detective said to the guy, Russell Williams, what can you give me today? And
He had a tire print on him also.
they had the tire print. He drove the car. It was like a Toyota 4, like a 4Runner, 4x4. And then he was wearing the same shoe print, which they got from the scene. And they had him. And when they got him, he got really kind of introspective. And he said, can I write a letter to my wife and tell her that I'm sorry? And to take care of the dog. The Golden State Killer, the vato had fucking chicken he was cooking chicken, the Golden State Killer that was out there forever. And when the cops came in, he goes, hey, can I turn the chicken off? They're like, yeah, we'll turn it off. They caught him after a lot of years, and he was out there.
BTK.
BTK.
Oh, man, that's just some creepy
I
stuff.
was actually called to go consult with him. They asked me if I'd go consult with him on BTK.
And he was out and came back.
Yeah, and about a month, maybe 2 months maximum, before he was arrested. He was arrested before I was supposed to go out there. And I called him up and I said, I guess, well, all bets are off. It had to be about a month. I said, all bets are off. You don't need me anymore. And they said, no, come on out. We still want to consult with you. Not only that, we've made arrangements for you to help put on a seminar for us. And so that's what we did, a little training when we were out there. And I was one of the few people who got to go into their room, their war room that had all the evidence in it. That was a fascinating dude. And he was just every day, he was a deacon at the church at one time. He was out with the Boy Scouts, worked for animal control.
He wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah.
I have a question. How come there ain't no Asian serial killers, bro? I can't think of one.
They just haven't been caught.
Because we get A+ in everything.
Yeah, right. You're better than everything. Smarter than everything.
They're all happy.
Yeah.
They're all happy. But BTK actually got away with it. Went a long period of time when he didn't kill
I
anyone.
believe it was about 30 years.
30 years, and he came back because he felt he didn't get the
His ego.
credit that he deserved.
His ego wanted to get back
ego.
into it.
And then he started to leave things around, and it was a CD-ROM.
Computer, they followed they didn't think that he'd be able to follow him, and they just duped him.
He called and said, if I send you guys like a CD-ROM, are you able to track that down to where it came from? They said no.
Wow. George, how do you know so much about this shit, bro? You're scaring the shit out of me right now.
Listen,
You're not
wearing shoelaces. Good. No. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's just been one of those things that has fascinated me.
Yeah.
And I would say crime. I'm not sure why, but I think crime. I had an uncle that was a bad guy. He was bad his whole life. And I admired him until I realized he was bad. Like, we admire uncles that are, they seem like a little cool. He's a little troublemaker, but he like beat me up when I was like 14. And that was it. Like, he was like, no, that's the guy I'm admiring, the guy that's kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Just kick my ass to kind of put me in my place. And you're like, no, that was a big deal for me too, because in the neighborhood you would admire older guys that there was one guy that was older, brother, he was probably 19, we're probably like 15, and he was dating somebody who was married, a woman, and he would sit on his porch and he would talk to us about the things he was doing with this woman, and she was married. And about a month later, there's all these cops over this thing. The husband went to the guy's house, knocked on the door. He opened the door. Back then there was a screen door and then the wooden door. He opened the door, and the husband shot him through the screen door once in the chest and killed him. He was 19. And, he was, talking all that shit. We learned right there not to really say about anything.
Yeah.
Like just not to, first of all, not to fuck with anybody that's married. When dudes were at work, when you work a place and they're the ones that are flirty and guys are going out with women that are married, and you're just like, I don't know, man, I don't know if that's a good deal for you guys to be doing that shit, because I'd already seen a guy who was just bragging about all this shit, and then a month later, you could see him, the door kind of half open, you could see the dude laying there. And, that happens all the time. I think that,
It does.
Gil, how did your kids, did they grow up, are they good?
One of them's a serial killer. They're fine.
Yeah,
They're fine. I have,
So good at it. Yeah.
I have 2 girls and a boy. First one was born December 7th, 1971.
Mm-hmm.
Second one was born December 7th, 1974. And my son was a month premature. He was born November 2nd, 1977. 3 years apart, 4 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
All of them healthy. Everybody's doing fine.
Oh, great, man.
Well, in the docu-series, you had a lot of respect for your father, but it's also from someone who didn't have a father and probably had an abusive father. It's great to see someone raise kids and to be what a father is, someone to look at with love and look at respectfully and to hold dear, because it is your father. It's your strong male figure. It's very important.
He was old school father. I had 6 sisters, no brothers. He had raised a family of about 10 because his first father passed away.
Yeah.
The second father came in and got caught trying to hook up with his sister, and so they ran him out of Dodge. So he was the father figure to the family. And the boys, he raised them all. And he was all about work, labor. He worked hard. And he never told me what to do. He would hint or suggest. I had to make my own decisions, though.
Smart.
And he's the wisest man that I've ever met to this day. And all I ever wanted to do was make him proud of me. That's he was, because he was a hardworking man. That's what I wanted. And in the documentary, as one of the things that made me cry, because subliminally, the director on this thing, Tiller Russell, did an amazing job putting it together. But I could see in number 4, there's a picture of my dad. We're at the beach, and I'm about 5 years old then, and he's holding my hand. And I know my dad was proud of me, by this thing.
Absolutely.
The night that he was convicted, Richard, I went home, and I had never cried as an adult male. And I got in bed, and I was crying like a baby. And my wife just put her arm around me and said, "It's okay, your dad was with you. And he's with you."
He is with you.
And so
He was with you.
You just made me cry, bro.
the day he passed away, I had never told my dad I loved him. So the night before he passed away, I asked everybody to step out of the room. And he was in the hospital, and I went up and I grabbed his hand, and I said, "Dad, I got to tell you something." I said, "Dad, I love you." And my dad, wait till you hear him say, "I love you." He said, "Me too, mijo. Me too." But I didn't get the "I love you." And so he passed away the next morning, and I was at my dad's house. My sisters were there, and I told one of my older sisters a story. I just wish I'd heard my dad say "I love you." And she came in about 30 minutes later and said, "You question your dad's love for you." I said, "No, I just wish I'd heard it." She says, "No, you question Dad's love." Well, let me tell you. She opened up the newspaper. She says, "He had this in a steel box in his room. There was $10,000 cash, deed to the house, insurance papers, mortuary paper, everything." She says, "You know what? Look it." And it's all wrapped up in a newspaper article about you when I was helped start an orphanage in Vietnam. And I was asking, bro. So I know he was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God
That's
bless
like in
you.
a fucking movie, bro. You gotta write a script, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's great to have you. Even I know you're not a law enforcement, but I think it's better for us to know that you're out there as just a good Chicano dude, man. Who raised his kids and made his father proud.
That.
You're a likable dude, bro. Like when I saw the dog, you're just a likable dude. Like you test well. You probably test well, bro.
He's got a great
Something about your
voice.
face, dude, and your body.
He's got a great
I like
voice.
your body, bro.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
His voice is the voice.
I'm not in
I
a
like
gay
your
way, but
body.
not in a gay way. I just like the size. I just like everything about you, bro.
Well, thank you.
Fuck, dude.
I just like
I'm so glad I came here, man.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just glad you called me bro.
Oh man.
No, see the thing is with us is, you know, I was watching Seabiscuit and the fucking the can had a dent and the guy worked in the market and he says you don't throw a can away because it has a dent. What's inside is still good. And I fucking
yeah.
I'm like, what happened? Like a trigger.
Yeah.
It just goes off. You just start when something's real, it just hits you.
Yeah.
And it just, you look at a picture, you hear a line that, what did they say? And it doesn't refer to you and your father, you made it out, you know? And those things, for us, we go to we have to be dark in order to be funny. But people that are dark all the time, that's not us. Like, we might be quiet away and dark thoughts, but ultimately we're good in our hearts because we want to make people laugh. But I've been around guys that were funny as fuck, and they were criminals. And they were motherfuckers you didn't want to be around. In 11th grade, we got a gun pulled on us. Guy opened the door. He was looking for my friend Kenny, and he pulled a gun in the .38 that went across my face like this. And the guy's like, "What the fuck are you looking at, puto?" And he fucking has a gun. Where's your cousin at? His shit's right in front of me like this. I'm like, and then he goes, "We have to go tell Kenny." I said, "Okay, but drop me off at home first." And he's like, "No, fuck you. It's all the way over there." I said, "Hey, Louis, take me home, man. I don't want to fucking be out anymore. Like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be in this fucking place with you guys." And Kenny got killed about 2 years after, and Louis spent probably 30 years in prison.
Wow.
And I knew at that moment that this fucking gun is going under my face, that I'm like, fuck this, man. Fuck these guys.
I know.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I told you some of the guys from the block when they were making the movie Heat. I took some of the guys from the movie Heat over to Wayside, and they were going to go because I guess in the scene in the movie, the girls are visiting their boyfriends or their husbands, and so they wanted them to go through the experience to see what it was really like. And so, could you arrange for a real inmate, let them interview them that would be willing to do this? And so I checked, and I said, "Yeah, I got a buddy over here from the streets." So got him. He sat there, and they said, "Okay, you want to take the girls up to because when you go to Wayside, you go down to, at the bottom, there's a visitor center. You have to stand in that line, then you wait, and then they put you on a bus, and they take you up to the jail." And they said, "Okay, you want to take them up to the jail?" I said, "No, they want the real experience. Have them stand in line. Just like everybody else, they'll get the real experience." Then I had an inmate up there waiting for him. There was somebody from the block. And that guy, they couldn't believe that he was in jail because he was a 3-striker, and they got him for burglary this last time, but yet he had spent all these years in prison because he was a 3rd striker.
Shit.
And then he eventually ended up dying in prison. So,
Well, speaking of dying in prison, though, what was your last conversation with Richard Ramirez?
it was up in San Francisco. And we didn't have a real conversation. We just exchanged pleasantries. The last serious conversation we had was just before he got transferred up to San Quentin. This was already, he's been found guilty, he's been sentenced to death. So we sat, we watched there was a made-for-television movie on the Night Stalker, and we watched it with him. You know?
With him.
Oh, wow, he
that's
saw it.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did he like the casting?
He did. He said that he didn't think that, he told me that he didn't think, he was ready to watch it, but he didn't think they'd be able to find anybody sinister enough to portray him.
Oh, wow.
And he actually liked the guy that portrayed him.
Oh, wow.
He says he looked good. He looked evil, and he acted evil. And the guy, excuse me, the guy that portrayed Richard had come down to my house, spent about 2 hours with me, just wanted to talk and learn a little bit about Richard. And I remember telling him, he told me, he said, "Hey, I'm sure you're going to be down around the set, and if you're on the set and you see me, don't be surprised if I don't acknowledge you or say hello, because I'm a character actor, and I get into character, and I won't break character. I said, okay. I said, let me tell you something. If I'm on the set, just let me warn you, I'm a character cop. I said, don't be surprised if I slam your ass up against the wall.
Wow.
And he looked and said, seriously? I said, nah.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
When did he die? When was he?
June 7, 2013.
2013.
Yes.
That's
So there were people upset that he didn't spend enough time in prison, but you can't. I mean, he died of cancer. But I
Who
mean,
cares? I don't. I do my job.
they said he didn't spend enough time in prison.
I know, right?
He's dead.
I spoke to a warden who said, on death row, not general
And
population.
on death row.
After 7 years of death row, he said people start going nuts anyway.
Oh, yeah.
why? Because they're in isolation.
Isolation.
Right.
So
And they don't get to talk to anybody.
I don't know. I've never been up there in death row.
They
They
don't.
have other inmates are on the row. You know, how they get along, I have no idea.
But is there like, I mean, I don't know much about it, so I'm in a cell, right? Is there like a little window or something I can look into the other one, or just
No.
a wall?
No, you're in a cell. You have bars in front of you. So as you're looking at me right now, bars would be right here.
Yeah.
You have 3 solid walls and bars.
And a huge door, like a huge metal
so
door.
you can't see the guy next to you.
But you can hear them.
You can hear them. You can
Yeah.
have mirrors. You can talk to each other. They get string and they get weights and they sling notes back and forth to each other.
Oh, wow.
That's how they communicate.
Can you draw? I mean, could you?
You gotta get paper?
Yeah, can I get pen
Yeah.
and paper
Oh,
and
yes.
draw and,
Yes.
and write and shit?
Yeah, you can do all that.
Okay.
So-
Can you read?
Yes. Read, watch television.
Oh, you have TV there.
Yeah. They have their own TVs.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's those old ones, like from the fucking old motels, the little plastic ones with the radio on the side, probably, and a bad antenna.
Oh, right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
They
like.
still have
You can't
rights.
stream shit. You
They
can't get
still have
Netflix
rights.
or Hulu or anything.
I don't think so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they can't be rolling.
I didn't
in
like
cell.
San Quentin at all. I went up there once because you go up there and that's the only prison I've been to. They make you sign a waiver. You know, they don't no hostage. They don't bargain for you. You know, and I could just see some inmate over there. Hey, fat ass on the line. That's the one that put me in joint. And
Yeah.
so, and if anything happens, just get your back up against the wall or hit the ground because they'll start shooting. And I didn't need it. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Richard
death
asked
row
me.
it's on its own. It's its
Yeah.
own separated.
Richard asked both Frank and myself if we would go to his day that he was sentenced to death, if we'd go to his the day they killed him. And Frank responded, said, "You damn right I will." And he asked me, and I said, "Shit, I don't know. You want me to be there, I'll be there. If you don't, I won't. Because I've seen enough death and destruction, you know, in combat and out in the streets. It doesn't interest me to watch you die."
So you don't think there would be any kind of closure if you saw that?
No.
Oh.
I didn't care to see it. I've seen enough. You know, to some people, you look at a dead body that's been shot or beat or stabbed, whatever it is, and they see blood, guts, and gore.
Yeah.
And I don't. I see something scientific. The body's talking to me. You know, I got to study and see what it says. So I derive no excitement. I hold nothing against that guy. The guy never bought me a drink. I don't know him shit. The most vile man I've ever met. He hurt a lot of people. But once he's not in custody over here and he's up in the state, he's out of my. I got other things.
Right.
You know, before we went out here, I wasn't aware, I don't think Bobby was, and Bryan, that as a detective, you went to the autopsy of the people who were murdered
Yes.
for information, right?
Yes. You go to the autopsy to learn more than you saw out on the
Okay.
streets.
Fascinating.
It's just like, how do you? So, I've never been to an autopsy. You know, God willing, I will one day. But so you show up, and is it like they pull the body out of a, or is it on a slab, or do they pull it out of a freezer? What happened?
By the time, they used to have great big meat lockers, great big things. Everything's refrigerated, and they're all stacked up. The bodies they're not in crypts; they're just all stacked like bunk beds.
Yeah.
They're stacked up. By the time we get there for my autopsy, because we would instruct them, I don't want to be there for your charting the body. So the doctors get there and they got to do all this drawing, every nick and cranny on the body. I want to be there for the autopsy itself. So by the time I get there, he's on a stainless steel table that has drainage, and the head's propped up, and then they just start cutting. They start to.
Is there a smell?
Oh yes,
Awful.
The only two things that I never got used to, and although I thought autopsies were fascinating to me, but I never got used to the smell because they're extremely odoriferous, and they use what appear to be nothing more than prune shears that you'd prune a tree with to cut the ribs, to cut the rib cage, just go right through the bone, and to hear that. I never got used to that.
Have you seen a body like that before?
Have you seen, do you know the 800 autopsy guy? ¿Cómo se llama, Nacho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fidel Herrera.
Vidal
friend of
Herrera.
mine.
Good guy, right?
Yeah.
Who is this person?
He has 1-800 autopsy, but he worked at the coroner's office as well. Chicano dude.
He was a coroner's investigator, big guy.
You guys were probably around the same time,
yes,
out there, right?
He was. As a matter of fact, he was transporter on some of the
yes.
Night Stalker cases. We picked him up at home because he had some back problems, some back surgery. We picked him up and then took him to testify, and then brought him back.
Right.
I was just at his office probably about a month ago.
Yeah. The one over there with the
1-800 autopsy where he got second story.
So I went over there. We have an idea for a show for him, and Vidal took me over there, and he had he has the whole autopsy setup, and he has the people in the locker, and he opened it up, and you see somebody wrapped, their head wrapped, and they may have been alive. Today's Monday. They may have been alive Friday, and they're in there now over the weekend waiting to have an autopsy done. So imagine, somebody that, a week ago was alive.
Oh my God.
And then they're in there, and unfortunately, I don't think the city is able to do all of the autopsies that they are scheduled because there's too many, right? Maybe not. Maybe
well, he does a lot of he does private.
Private, secondary.
So somebody, when you go to the hospital, they had a problem. COVID.
What's COVID?
COVID. So with COVID,
19, no, 12, cabrón.
they go ahead and it's just a doctor's signature, no autopsy.
Right. But
So family members want to know, did he really die of COVID? So now they'll pay rich people like maybe a Whitney Houston or a Michael Jackson. Those people, if they want a private autopsy, 1-800 autopsies.
Wow.
So they do them. And then they submit their results. Because the federal government was giving, when you died of COVID, federal government was giving money back to the hospitals and all this relief. So it's very easy to go ahead and sign one off. Not to say that they would ever want to do that just for the money, but they were receiving money for it.
Wow. That's his job.
So
Wow.
as a detective now, what's changed, you think? Because you had a way that you worked with, I think it was probably independent of the way that Frank did his work, right? You had theories. You had the first theory that the Night Stalker may have been the same guy, and then some people in law enforcement, LAPD, laughed at it. They laughed at. They said,
Most of my bureau laughed at me.
Yeah.
Everybody laughed at
They
me.
didn't. No, they didn't think it would be that, right? They said
That's right.
No, it can't be.
Is Frank still alive?
Yes.
Do you hang with him still?
I don't see him that often. I just saw him last week. The guy that broke me in Homicide Bureau, very dear friend of mine, passed away due to COVID.
Oh.
And he broke me in, supported me. He sat in my motorhome with me. We were monitoring our surveillance that was going on during the Night Stalker case. He believed in me. And he said, you're following the freak, but he's not your freak. That's the wrong guy.
That was
That was
that other guy. You know about the other guy? Remember in the documentary,
Yeah,
the
I
other
do,
guy
yeah.
that was a Chicano dude,
Yes.
almost the same MO of things.
He was definitely a freak.
He was a freak.
And so that was Arturo Robles. And
Did he live with his mom?
yeah. And
All those like naked pictures and magazines hidden.
I was the best man at 2 out of 3 of Don's weddings.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
So we're
After the third one, like, I'm not doing it anymore.
So we're
He's bad luck.
Yeah.
No, I did the last one. I did the last two. The last one was a winner. Good wife, good lady. And Frank was just there. That was last Wednesday, so I saw Frank.
Oh, cool.
But he lives on the other side of the world from me. He lives on the west side. I live on the east side. We run in different circles. And
He continued to be a private investigator.
he did PI work for a long time. He was, if I learned, I told Frank in the very beginning, if I can be half as organized, if I can learn to be half as organized as you are, I'll be great. Unfortunately, that didn't work. He's organized.
But just meticulous with everything.
I had
I'm meticulous, but he's meticulous, and he's organized. Mm-hmm. So if he needed his book from a case in 1985, I'd say, hey, I need your book from 85. He'd say, okay. And he'd go and he'd pull it out. They'd say, Gil, we need your book from 1985. And I said, by when? And, okay, you need it next month? All right. About 5 days before, I'd start ripping everything apart to try and find what they're looking for.
those big black binders.
That's the murder book. That's what we put together. Murder books, those are easy, but no, our notebooks where we take all our notes to put into that big binder.
Did you know they had a murder book?
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about
They
it.
carry it around. If you watch a detective, if you watch it again, they leave. They have things under their arms.
Yeah.
And that's they have the murder book.
Wow. Before we forget, though, who hooked you up with this podcast?
Yeah.
Hey,
Your bandmate.
I got to tell you.
Tell me about your bandmate, bro.
Big shout out to Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez.
What's up, bro? What's up, Richard?
Lead guitar player for the Righteous Rhythms, and he's still playing lead guitar today. Unfortunately for Richard, was involved in a tragic accident about a month and a half ago, head-on collision. Thank the good Lord, he survived. He's been really in a lot of pain. He just got out of the hospital for the second time again Sunday, and they cleaned him up. He was bleeding internally, and he had some infection in there, so they got him all cleaned up. I spoke with him this morning. He sounds great, but he's the one that called me up right after a podcast. He had listened to the podcast, and he said, hey, they called you up yet? And I said, who? And he says, man, I heard him on the air, and George Lopez is saying, anybody know Gil Carrillo, reach out. So here I am.
So you hadn't met George before this?
No. Before
Oh, wow, that was the first meeting?
Yes.
Because, let me just say this. When you first met George, though, were you a little nervous or no?
No.
Yeah. I was.
I was looking forward.
Just a
little bit, just a little bit.
I was looking forward to him because I've paid good money to go see. I've been to at least 5 of his shows.
Whoa, that's cool.
And
I paid one too at Nokia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You did the one by Staples Center. I've been to 2 of them there.
Nokia, yeah. Well, you're on the lifetime pass now.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah.
I ain't paying again.
I got to go there, and I've seen him.
That's nice.
Seen him around.
Yeah.
I love comedy, and and he and the stuff he talks about, I can relate to everything from the Thea that's right there. That hey, where you going? Okay, don't let him take my plate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna go to that wedding? No, bring me some food.
Yeah.
Everything. It's funny.
You don't like compliments?
No, yeah. I'm saying I'm going to say. I'm waiting till he's done. No, I know. I don't.
It's great stuff, and
Yeah.
So I love. So I was just looking so forward to it.
Well, when I told Bryan that we talked, I said, man, I just talked to him once. I feel like I've known him my whole life. So it's cool to connect with you and admire you as a professional and also.
Well, believe me,
it's
my pleasure. This is so cool, and probably the most important thing is I've made new friends. So it's
Don't make me cry again, bro.
That's badass.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. I mean, the reason we got on the podcast and started to talk about crime is that I noticed that there were a lot of people pretending to be police officers that drive around and have lights that try to pull people over. And I have a daughter that's 25, so I was saying for anybody just in general sometimes to not think because somebody's pulling you over, unmarked car, or they come up to you and they flash a badge. And there's some bad people out there, and a lot of them are pretending to be police officers. Mm-hmm. They pull people over and they're trying shit it's wild, man. I mean,
But I'm sorry. I feel like you can tell. You can't tell?
I don't know, man.
Because I've been pulled over
people
before,
should.
and I look in the thing, and it look, you could just certain things that look legit.
Right.
There's 2 dudes, right? It just in terms of like what they're wearing, all that, you can't tell.
A lot of times when they show those videos, it's horrible that a person pulled over because it's like a guy dressed like me going, oh.
Yeah, because if I saw you, bro, I'm out. Imagine him. I'd be like, oh, this is fake. There's no way. Look at that face. Like, you look like a
fucking gentleman caller over
Pick him
there.
up.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we're a little bit smarter than.
Okay, maybe.
I mean, listen, they got a scam right now where they knock on your front door and you answer. They go, "Did you receive your UPS package?" You go, "What?" And there's somebody going around the back, breaking into the back to the back of the house. And there's
I just got a message. A friend of mine that I've known for years, who used to coach her son in football, and her 79-year-old mother, day before yesterday, got there was a burglary and she got raped inside. So she was sexually assaulted inside her house. 79 years old, right there in Hacienda Heights. Not good.
Have you ever been scammed, George?
One time at Dodger, they were selling tickets that they had made for the Monday. There wasn't a Monday game.
Yeah.
Because they had to win Sunday to play Monday. And I went, my grandfather sent me over to go buy some tickets, and I bought some for Monday, but it was the Sunday game, and it fucking, man, the shit he said to me. And then we ended up buying tickets for Sunday, and then the Dodgers won, and then they played Monday. They played the Astros, and they won Monday. So he didn't feel as bad because we already had tickets for Monday, but they had to win Sunday to play Monday, and they won Sunday, and then we went the next day.
Tickets.
That's another thing. I know he's a big Dodger fan because I see him. I see him all the time on TV when Jordan. He's in the pictures, the commercials. I'm a big Dodger fan.
Yeah.
And I mean, I started going when I was a kid when they moved over here to the Coliseum.
Shit.
And then got in over here. I've had season tickets.
Coliseum.
First base side, Loge level. My last season tickets before that, Frank McCourt took over.
That fucking guy.
Oh.
He made me hate the Dodgers, that guy.
Yeah. I was, at that time, on the field level, I had aisle 4, row W, row R, seats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you could see the ball breaking. They were beautiful. $75 a ticket, plus 10 or 15 for parking.
Yeah.
And then we got notified that they're going to go up to 125. And I said, who am I trying to kid? I can't afford this shit. And so I gave them up. I had to give up the. And when my mother-in-law lived with us, 6 years after my father-in-law died, she lived with us. She was always saying, "Are the Dodgers going to be on?" The Dodgers? Finally, I told the wife, because that's when Spectrum had them. So I just told the wife, I said, you know what? We'll just get Spectrum. I'll pay the extra money.
You couldn't get Spectrum.
Just so we can have her stop Chingando, get her the Dodger games. And so she passed away 2 years ago. And I told the wife, I said, well, we can get rid of Spectrum now. She said, no. So we watched them every day. My daughter, she's been to 2 games this year. I haven't been to one. I love the Dodgers. I got 1 year they called me down on the field. I was recognized as their hometown hero. They get something, and they give you a little. And it was cool because my mom got to sit down in the $500 seats.
Yeah.
They got her down there, and she got to see her mijo, and it was
That's
Cool.
awesome. That's
Well, I'll tell you what. George hasn't asked us, but I have a feeling that he's going to call us soon to get us nice seats.
We're all gonna go to Dodger
at the
Stadium.
Dodger.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm throwing that out into the universe. He's going to make it happen. We're going to get great seats. You're going
Yes.
to buy the popcorn, all that shit.
You can
bro.
bring your wife.
From here to
Yeah.
Did your dad ever go to Dodger Stadium?
Oh yeah, my dad.
He
did.
loved it, huh?
Yeah, he loved it. I did ring announcing for the department for the Police Olympics.
Oh, they used to throw chingazos at Police Olympics. Yeah.
And yeah,
They
and-
had boxing.
They had boxing, and I remember my dad. He got to go. The only time we got to sit down on the bottom level, the field level, was when he'd get tickets from the boss. Because when they first opened up Dodger Stadium, my dad would park back in the back where their naval station used to be, and then we'd walk up all the way up to the top and sit in the nosebleed. So we'd sit down there, and
There's
it
a
was
naval
fun.
station. Nobody
Yeah.
knows that. Down
Yeah.
at the bottom over there.
And so that was fun. He never got to go with me when I started buying tickets. And my mom, one day when the Dodgers were in the World Series, I wasn't going to be able to go, so I said, I'm going to sell my tickets. I got 4 of them. So I took them down to Troy's, right across the street from the Coliseum. And the news media was covering, hey, people are selling their tickets. And so I took my tickets in, and as I'm walking in, guy from Channel 11 was walking out. He had just done a story, and he told his photographer, "No, don't put the camera away. I know that guy from somewhere. I know him." Uh-huh. And so I put the camera back on, and it shows me. He didn't stop me, but it shows me there buying tickets. He couldn't remember from where, and I just got in my car and I got out of there in a hurry. My sister tells me, she says, "So you sold your tickets?" And my sister said, "Yeah, well, I wasn't going to use them, and I clean money for them." And she says, "Yeah, Mom didn't recognize you because she said, mira ese cabrón. He's selling his tickets." So it's a
fucking mom was like, "This motherfucker selling fucking tickets."
Yeah,
caught on TV. That's brutal.
So
it's such a big. The Dodgers are such a big part of Los Angeles for us. Like in the 70s and 60s. I went in the 60s, 70s, and then now recently they don't work with Farmer John anymore.
Yes, and I understand that Farmer John can't even make the hot dog anymore, let alone the name. They can't make that one because the Dodgers own the patent on it.
But why couldn't they work out the deal that the hot dogs are different now? But there's vegetarian dogs and dogs, soy dogs, whatever.
Yeah.
But those are people that that go for a Dodger dog. People talk about it. They move to L.A. and they're like, "Oh, you got to go to Dodger Stadium to get a Dodger dog." And now it's not the same Dodger dog. It's not even Farmer John. Yeah. I wonder why they couldn't work the deal out.
I have no idea.
That's a pretty good question.
When we watch a game, I'm going to tell you, when we watch the games now, I went out, when you go into 7-Eleven, you see those rollers that are rolling dogs. I bought one for my house just recently, and we may make our own Dodger dogs and sit there and watch them.
Are they pretty good?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll eat a fucking hot dog. It'll be there for 3 weeks, still rolling. As long as it's still rolling, you don't have chunks taken out of it.
I always wonder how old they are.
If it's got bumps, I'm not. But if it's still rolling, it still looks oily. I'll eat a Slim Jim. I won't let anybody know. I don't want to die with a Slim Jim in my system. But I'll fuck around and get a Slim Jim or 5 and eat them late at night. And you're not supposed to. But the Dodgers, in changing ownerships, when we grew up, there was just the O'Malley's owned it, and you knew that things were going to be the same. I don't want to go and they don't have that carnation malt, but I'm sure that's probably been gone forever. The chocolate malt with
wooden
the
spoon.
They still had them last year, or the year before last, because they didn't go last year.
And the more things change over there, the more they resemble what people love about going to Dodger games. I'll say that.
I've heard. I really want to. Those new home run seats they have out left field.
Oh, yeah.
Those are cool. Some guy caught 2 balls the other day.
You want to go and sit in those?
Same guy. I don't care.
Let's go sit in those. It's almost like a fucking hammock because that was the place where the home run would go over and people that were in line eating, trying to get, it would rattle around under the pavilion. Now they sold air, Bobby, between the wall and the first seat. They made seats in there, home run seats.
It's pretty cool. You get
that fucking Dodgers.
I've sat in every place in the stadium,
except
for the new home run.
You want to bring your girl or not? So I know how many tickets to get.
I'll bring my girl. My girl's a huge Dodgers fan. I gotta bring my girl.
2, 2, 1.
Yeah.
And now 1 for your nose and you. All right, 2.
It's been a good run today.
I'm fucking detective, man. I fucking bust you right away. He beat him up and broke his nose. He was fucking like that when I pulled him over. I didn't break his nose. That's what caught my attention. The nose bandit. Well, thank you, Gil. I appreciate you, man. And we're going to take you out to, all of us are going to have a, oh my God, high night at Dodger Stadium. And we're going to sit in those Dodger seats, the home run seats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for the invitation.
And you know what it's going to look like? I brought my baseball glove, but there's going to be a bottle of fucking Seagram 7 in the fucking mid. Like when I was growing up. But thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming here.
It was a blessing, man, and I'm just so glad to be here, man. Thank you so much.
I knew you would be.
Nice guy. Yeah, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you. You guys are too good.
An honor. Thanks very much.
Gil Carrillo, everybody. Detective, Sheriff's Department.
Thank you.
And a Chicano legend and icon.
Hero.